When one speaks, acts, or intervenes in any way, the first priority can be to do no harm, to not make the situation any worse than it already is. And I take that very seriously. So when we talk about things like success, winners and losers, angels and assholes, these are very triggering and they can lead people to feel uncomfortable. But life is not comfortable. And discomfort is the seed of growth, as the irritation from a grain of sand in the oyster creates a pearl, or the carbon under pressure produces a diamond in rare instances. Preciousness is always downstream of difficulty. And in psychology, this is often called post-traumatic growth. Our discovery that in fact we can contend with difficult subject matter, our discovery that in fact the subjects of success, science, and spirituality are all accessible to us and that we can define them, we can have enough of a working definition to make a conversation happen around these subjects, that is empowering. That is going from confusion to clarity, thinking there's no definition of success. We can't define it. There's no such thing as a winner or a loser. We can't define either of those. There's no such thing as an angel or an asshole, and who are you to judge anyway? That whole attitude that prevents the conversation from happening is actually a product of insecurity, lack of confidence, lack of even self-esteem. Confidence lets every attitude near, and the more confident any of us are, the more attitudes we will allow near. But if you don't like the attitude that success is available to people, that people should go for their desires, if you don't like the attitude that we can pursue the innocent desires of hardworking and reasonable people, then you won't like this conversation. But for anyone who is interested in the innocent desires of reasonable and hardworking people, that let's continue on. All of us have desires. They are the language of the heart. And our desires often come in the form of complaints. Complaints are a product of an asymmetry between how we want things to be and how they are. How we want things to be are our desire. They are our vision. Now, I said at the very beginning of this conversation that I don't want to do any more damage. I don't want to make a bigger mess than the one that is already in all of our lives. All the messes in our lives deserve to be addressed, but sometimes bringing them up can feel too provocative, too triggering. And that's why I want to take a pause here so that we can recalibrate ourselves and remind ourselves that what we're trying to do is have ambitious adult conversations about how we can move the needle forward, how we can improve things in a systematic way, transparently, so that we ourselves know how the improvements are happening. We ourselves know why we're doing the things that we're doing. And it certainly helps to keep us honest, to tell other people why we're doing what we're doing. My vision for myself is to spend the next 10 years building a platform dedicated to improving the vital signs of communication, relationships, and conversations, so that we can start to identify problematic habits like talking over each other or making jokes to avoid uncomfortable topics, and a whole variety of ways that we subconsciously, tactically deflect pressure and responsibility, which we can totally forgive ourselves for. It's a totally natural thing to do, and I understand it perfectly. I make plenty of excuses. I procrastinate a lot. But that doesn't change the fact that there's less productivity and less success, less progress, and less gifts and blessings generated by me because of my underproducing relative to what I could. As such, I've created a game to increase all of our productivity. It's called Clean Stamina, and it starts with confidence lets every attitude near, clean, and it moves on to stamina, success through admiration, mutually inspired, non-accusatory, which is the battle cry for how I plan to live my life and how I invite others to live your lives if you're so moved. Success stands for itself through admiration. Success through admiration. To me, to be around people who I love and admire, respect and appreciate, that is success. And for the people around me to feel that way about me, that is success. So mutual admiration, success through admiration, mutually inspired, non-accusatory. Now, I don't admire people who I cannot challenge. I admire people who I can challenge or who I can push, but I don't need to be accusatory of people in order for them to earn my respect and for them to earn my gratitude and my blessing for their presence in my life. I do have to challenge them, I do have to push them, I do have to find out what they're made of, they do have to show me what they're made of, but I don't have to accuse anyone. And I invite you to consider that same question of whether you have to accuse anyone for them to earn your respect or whether you can find respect for people by pushing and challenging them. And this is challenging content. I'm challenging you with this information. This is about your life and my life and our life together. This is a question of how to deal with the difficult things in life, how to deal with guilt, frustration, anger, disappointment, trauma. My acronym is FDAT-FANG. Fear, disappointment, anger, trauma, frustration, anxiety, negativity, guilt. FDAT-FANG, which is a play on the ticker symbols for Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, which are also FANG, who also have their teeth sunken into us because we are data structures and we are valuable to them as data, as predictive creatures who are predictable as well. But let us not get off track. I don't want to do any harm by presenting this game to you. I only want to open up options. And I want to promote the idea that there can be conversations where we currently think there cannot be, and that people can change in ways that we currently think they cannot. When we think a conversation cannot be had or a person cannot be changed, that's a product of us lowering our expectations for how good the future can be just to avoid being disappointed. And that's fine. That's a valid strategy. And I want to address it in the future very directly. I want to address both the lowering of expectations that we do in order to protect ourselves from disappointment, and also the raising of expectations that we do in order to get more out of ourselves or others or whatever situation we find ourselves in. Expectations are actually what we follow. We follow them down or we follow them up. And there is, what I've discovered, a prescription for how to do it right. And to put it as succinctly as possible, we forgive the past by lowering our expectations of it, and we trust the future by raising our expectations of it. Suffice it to say that if we lower our expectations of the past starts to exceed our expectations, and that gives us a sense of relief. That's gratitude, that's forgiveness, that's relief, and that releases energy, because if we're in conflict with the past, that actually decreases our energy, our free available energy, because it consumes the energy when we're in conflict with the past, where we have not yet forgiven it. When we're in conflict with the future, that also consumes energy. That is called worrying, and that is a lack of faith or a lack of confidence in the future. And the good news is that we can forgive the past and trust the future by lowering our expectations of the past and raising our expectations of the future. That's the science of it, and we can talk about specific examples if those would be helpful, including, for instance, realizing that people could not do different than what they did. The past cannot be changed, and therefore we would do well to decrease our expectations of the past. This is, as we said, post-traumatic growth, which is that bad things happened to us in the past, things that we wouldn't wish on anyone and we wouldn't wish on ourselves, and that we expected more